All right, so today we have exercise with Exos. As promised, a little bit more cardio focused today than yesterday. So we're gonna do 3 rounds, 45, 15. We are gonna be just needing enough space to be on our hands and toes on the ground. And then I'm gonna go ahead real quick with demos, and then we'll get right into the circuit itself. So for our first movement here, we're going to start off with our frog jumps here. So hands and toes. I'm going to face this way. Hands and toes. We're going to jump up, bringing our hands as close. I say this every time. Bring our feet as close to our hands as we can. Coming up, bringing them off the ground and back down. So from this angle, being here, coming up onto our flat foot and back. Then the next thing here we're going to do some mountain climbers. If you are in a space where you don't feel very safe doing mountain climbers, I know if I was at home with like my socks on the carpet, I wouldn't be. You can always just do a nice slow one where you bring your knees in, but otherwise, core is engaged. We're driving our knees up, or again, you can go a little bit slower if needed. And then from there, we're going to stand on up. We're going to start off, we're going to do a squat, knee to elbow, so hands at our temple, squatting down. Exhaling, driving one knee up at a time. So that's going to be our third movement. And then we're going to do a kneel to squat. So here in a tall kneeling position, one foot coming up at a time, and then on to the other side. That's going to be our fourth movement. And then getting into more cardio stuff, we're going to do some skips and then 2-inch runs in place. So for the skips, opposite arm, opposite leg, getting our knees up and double tapping here, keeping our torso nice and tall. And then lastly, 2-inch run in place, slight bend in our knees and in our hips. So slight bend there, on our toes, quick feet, slow arms, like ducks on water. And that's going to be our circuit for today. I'm just going to fix my camera so we can go ahead and come into the top of our space for the world's greatest stretch. Interlace our fingers, grab it onto one of our knees, pull on our knee towards our chest. And we're going to exhale, step back, reverse lunge. Back leg stays straight, hands coming down on the inside of our front foot. Back leg staying nice and straight. Nice big deep inhale. And exhale, opening up towards the ceiling, gazing past our thumb. Thumb is facing our back, so we're looking at our palm. And we're going to exhale, plant our hand outside of our front foot. Bring our back foot a little bit closer and push your hips up into our hamstring stretch. Breathing into our tight areas here. And we're exhaling, bring our feet together, push the ground away, and stand on up. All right, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So interlace our fingers, grabbing onto our opposite knee, pulling towards our chest. And we're going to exhale, step back, reverse lunge. Hands are coming down on the inside of our front foot. Back leg stays nice and straight. Nice big deep inhale. And exhale, opening up towards the ceiling, thumb facing behind us, gazing past our hand. Breathing into our tight areas, into our belly. And we're going to go ahead and exhale, plant our hand outside of our front foot. Bring our back a little bit closer and push our hips up into our hamstring stretch. And we can go ahead and exhale. Bring our feet together, push the ground away, and stand on up. All right, part 2 of our warm-up. We're going to do some plank to pike here. Going onto our hands and toes is going to help us get warmed up for our mountain climbers and frog jumps here. So on our hands and toes, we're going to go ahead, exhale, pushing our hips up towards the ceiling. We can start to pedal our heels, so pressing one heel into the ground. And exhaling and switch. Exhale, switch. And exhale, switch again. And we can go ahead, pressing both our heels into the ground, push our head in between our arms. And coming back to plank, pushing back to pike, back to plank, and one more. And then once we're back in our plank position, gently bring your knees to the ground. We're ready to rock and roll. So we're starting on the ground on our hands and toes for our first two movements here. So we're starting with our frog jumps. We're doing 45-15. Time to get the timer going here. We're getting ready. 3, 2, 1, and go. So starting off with our frog jumps, hands and toes, jumping our feet as close to our hands as we can, and then bringing our hands off the ground and back down. So if jumping is not your thing today, no problem. You can always walk one foot at a time and then back. If you're going to be walking your feet like that, do every other foot coming up first, so that way you even out your sides. Making sure if we're jumping, we're landing on our whole foot, sinking back into our heels. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we have mountain climbers. You can do it fast or slow, whatever you're more comfortable with today. We're getting ready. 3, 2, 1. So on hands and toes, butt to belly button, so our core is engaged, our back is nice and flat. You can either go nice and slow here using our core, or you can speed it up a little bit, whatever you are more comfortable with today. As I said in the warm-up, or sorry, in the demo, I know if I was at home with my socks on the carpet, I wouldn't feel as comfortable going fast. I'm going to go to a nice medium pace here for myself today. Keep breathing. 3, 2, 1. All right. Standing on up. Squat, knee to elbow. So hands are going to be at our temples. Hold on, maybe my arms are a little tired already. 3, 2, 1. So feet hip width apart, toes pointed forward. If you have tight hips like me, go ahead, turn your toes out ever so slightly if you need to help get the depth here. We're exhaling as we push through our whole foot and stand on up. Keeping our butt to our belly button when we come down into our squat, making sure we're leading with our glutes coming up, not our hips coming up here. Exhaling, feeling our core zip up as we lift our knee up. We should feel that in our core. 3, 2, 1. Also partially because our hip flexor is back in there too. All right, next up, kneeling to squat. Coming down to the ground in a tall kneeling position. 3, 2, 1. So one foot planted, coming up into our squat and back down, and then alternating our feet here. So you don't necessarily have to move slow. Be mindful and careful as you're coming back to the kneeling position. If you have a mat or something you can fold over to cushion your knees, definitely grab something for that. I'm gonna be a little careful here that I don't slam my knees into the ground, but planting through our whole foot, just like any squat or lunge, our knee is right over our second toe, chest is staying forward. 3, 2, 1. All right, next up, we're gonna skip. And then we have 2-inch runs in place. And then we got 2 more rounds to go. 3, 2, 1. So opposite arm, opposite leg. Staying on our toes. We're double tapping. keeping our torso nice and tall. Our butt is still to our belly button, our core is engaged. You want to make sure we're not crunching as we step up. We're staying nice and tall. If we act like we have some glass at our hips here, we're breaking the glass with our knee. Go ahead and do a march if skipping is if the jumping's not your thing today, or you can start to double tap. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we have 2-inch run in place. So we're gonna have a slight bend in our knees. Hips are slightly back. Core is still engaged. 3, 2, 1. Oh, quick feet, slow arms. We're like ducks on water. As our feet are moving real fast. But from here up, staying a little bit more stable here. Our feet don't have to get that high off the ground. That is why it's called a 2-inch run in place. Our feet should barely be coming more than 2 inches off the ground. Focus on the breath. Try and get your feet a little bit quicker. Finish strong here. 3, 2, 1. All right. That is round 1. We got 2 more to go. We're coming back on the ground. We got frog jumps first. Gotta mentally prepare for these next 2 for my shoulders. 3, 2, 1. All right, so hands and toes, butt to belly button. Jamming our feet as close as we can to our hands. I mean, you can try and get your hand, like your feet outside of your hands. I know for me, that's gonna put too much pressure on my hip. So finding that spot that really feels good for you. Again, walking your feet one at a time. Keeping our butt low when we walk back out. So we're not here in our frog position. We have our plank hands underneath our shoulders. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we have mountain climbers. Going as fast or slow as feels comfortable for us today. 3, 2, 1. All right, so you can either speed it up. We do still want to keep our hands underneath our shoulders here the whole time. Core is engaged. Exhaling to help us drive our knees up. Again, moving a little bit slower if we need to. If we are moving slower, really make sure that we aren't crunching here. It's really easy to be kind of doing this thing. We want to make sure our torso is staying nice and still. Great job. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Next up, squat, knee to elbow. We're at our temples. 3, 2, 1. Get this, my shoulders. Okay. As I said, I did say yesterday, was gonna be a little bit more cardio focused today. So we're doing a mix of strength and cardio in terms of what we are doing. So if you want to do these a little bit faster, now that we have done it one time, we should feel a little bit more comfortable. Speed it up. Again, we're exhaling. We should use our core to come up, just like with our mountain climbers. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we have kneeling to squat. So if you need to, grab a mat, fold it up to cushion your knees here. 3, 2, 1. So we're planting our whole foot, pushing through heel big toe, little toe. I also apologize. I did wear these shoes because I know sometimes the background is hard to see when I'm wearing all black. So I was trying to switch it up. And now I realize that my shoes are very closely colored to the floor. So I apologize if my feet aren't very clear. Still trying to work through the space, the background I have. A little bit different than what we had with that white wall behind me in St. Raphael. 3, 2, 1. Or with my lighting at home, but just bear with me as I work through the newness and the challenges here. All right, we got skips next. 3, 2, 1. Now I say newness. It's been about a month. I'm trying to still work through some things, but we're skipping away, driving our knees up one at a time, keeping our torso nice and tall. Again, march it out if you need to, but it's the same positioning. So our knee is coming up. We are going to feel that a little bit in our hip flexors. I really want us to keep our core nice and tight here as we exhale, driving our knees up. 3, 2, 1. All right, last up, 2-inch run in place. We got one more round. Now we're going to cool down. 3, 2, 1. We got slight bend in our knees and our hips. So kind of like if we're going to do like a single leg RDL or a bound or something, our hips are back. Our chest is in the center here. Toes are barely getting off the ground. Feel free to mix up. You can move side to side if you like. Forward and backwards and turn. Make it fun for you if you need to. Fitness should always be as fun as we can make it. Finish strong here. 3, 2, 1. All right. 2 down, 1 to go with our frog jumps. Gotta like mentally prepare for these. Between my heart, my lungs, and my shoulders. 3, 2, 1. This one definitely gets everything going. It's definitely different than burpees. I was gonna do burpees today, but then I decided on these instead. Don't know if it's necessarily better or worse, but after the burpees that we did on Tuesday in the in-person boot camp, those like that whole workout really just wore me out. So, you know, I gotta kind of, like I always say, we gotta give our 100% for what we have today. It's gonna be different every day based on sleep, recovery, etc. 3, 2, 1. All right, done with those for today. Up next, we have mountain climbers. It's always important to take at least 1 to 2 rest days a week from everything. 3, 2, 1. So while I am doing this workout with us today is technically my rest day, as I did not do cardio this morning and I'm not going to the gym later. But it's always important to make sure we're at least taking 1 to 2 days every week with doing nothing. I know that we are all active people, but it's always good. I mean, active recovery, like walking, really good to do that. So if you do walk every day, you don't need to take a break from that. But I would say from like lifting or training or cardio, it is important to take rest. 3, 2, 1. We can only make progress when we do rest. Because work plus rest equals success. All right, we got squat, knee to elbow coming on up. 3, 2, 1. But speaking of rest days, and whatnot. I did say this yesterday, but as a reminder, we won't have lunch class on Fridays for the time being due to my schedule and not having any subs available. But we will still have Monday through Thursday at 12 and 12:30 classes virtually with the Tuesday boot camp person and the Wednesday stretch class in person. So you can always tune into our YouTube recordings to do past classes. 3, 2, 1. There are lots of class recordings on there over the last 3 years, so you can always do old ones if you like. All right, up next, kneel to squat. 3, 2, 1. So that is going to be the deal with classes and stuff going on right now. If you have any questions, just let me know. Job. For 1 foot at a time, we're alternating here. Again, making sure we're not jamming our knees on the ground. We're going to do this, then we're going to skip, then we're going to do our runs in place, and then we're going to do some reach throughs to cool down. Get some rotation, open up our arms. 3, 2, 1. All right. Done with those. We're going to skip next. Figured we do reach throughs instead of pretzel. Switching on up. 3, 2, 1. We're skipping here. Even though pretzel actually does sound kind of nice right now. Actually, scratch that. We are going to do pretzel because we will get rotation and we will open up our chest and shoulders there. So that is the plan. So we're going to finish our skips. I'm going to call an audible here. We're finishing our skips. We're going to run in place. And then we are going to do pretzel. So nice and tall through our torso. Driving our knees up. 3, 2, 1. All right. Done with those. Last movement here. 2-inch run in place. We're getting ready. 3, 2, 1. Quick feet. Slow hands. Switch it up. Go in whichever direction you'd like. Try to get those feet a little bit quicker. It's our last movement. Last time through. So we know we got it down. Go ahead, speed it up. Keep switching your toes here. You got it. The last set, best set, I always say, but it's our last movement, best movement of the day. Last round as well. 3, 2, 1. And that is going to be it for today's circuit. So go ahead, grab a sip of water if you need it. Like I said, we are going to do some pretzel here to cool down. My board almost just fell on top of me. So when we're ready, we're on our side doing pretzel here. So starting with whichever side you like. Our checklist, top leg comes up over across our body. My whole spine just cracked. That felt amazing. Knee and ankle stay on the ground. Bottom hand on top of our knee. Top hand grabs onto our bottom foot or ankle, making sure our knee is pointed straight down to get the most stretch there that we can get. Nice big inhale. And exhale, opening up our top shoulder towards the ground. Nice big deep inhales through our nose into our bellies. Exhaling, sighing away the tension, letting our body sink further into the ground as we release all of our tension. Go ahead and do one more breath here. And as we finish our exhale, when we're ready, you can gently release the bottom leg. Return to our side. We're ready to do the same thing on the other side here. So same checklist. Our top leg comes up, over, across our body. Knee and ankle stay on the ground. Bottom hand goes on top of our knee. Top hand grabs onto our bottom foot or ankle. We're going to inhale to prepare. And exhaling, bringing our top shoulder towards the ground. Inhaling into our nose, into our bellies. And exhaling, sawing away our tension. And we just feel with each exhale that all of our stress is melting away. Our body sinks further to the ground. And let's go ahead and do one more breath here. And when we are ready, again, gently release our bottom leg, rolling over onto our side, and feel free to return to a seated, kneeling, or standing position. That is going to be all the time I have for us today. So I know that was a little bit more cardio than what we've done in the past here, but or what we've done more recently, but definitely did a great job, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope y'all have a great day and a great weekend, and I'll see y'all again next week.